Have you ever watched an arm wrestling match and thought, you know what, with the right training, I could probably hang with one of these guys? Yeah, you couldn't. Because as strong as you might be, or as much as you arm wrestled on the school lunch table, the gap between you and a real pro arm wrestler isn't just big, it's a completely different planet. Today, we're going to see what happens when regular people, lifters, bodybuilders, or even national level pullers try to go up against all level of arm wrestling athletes and instantly regret it. These are the moments where people get on the table with real arm wrestlers and reality hits back hard. You're walking along the bustling streets of New York City and come across a small crowd gathered in a circle. Your curiosity gets the better of you, and you decide to make your way to the center of the crowd to see what all the fuss is about. The cameras are rolling, and there's this calm-looking kid with glasses asking if anyone wants to try arm wrestling. You look at him, clearly a big kid but not huge, not intimidating, and you think, yeah, I probably got this. And then 5 seconds later, your wrist is folded, your soul leaves your body, and your friends are laughing. That's Schoolboy. In a nutshell. Schoolboy went through dozens of challengers, from regular people to bodybuilders to gym rats, and even seasoned powerlifters without even breaking a sweat. Yet on the world stage, as a competitive arm wrestler, especially at this time, Alexander aka Schoolboy would not even come close to being at the top of the global rankings. But okay, that's just random people off the street, right? What about real strength athletes? The kind who move massive amounts of weight for a living. Enter Larry Wheels, a man whose strength borders on superhuman. Surely he could give Schoolboy a run for his money, right? Not even close. Despite all that raw muscle, Schoolboy handled him with surgical precision at Larry's very own arm wrestling event. Larry's power was undeniable, but Schoolboy's control was something else entirely. The look on Larry's face said it all. This wasn't about power anymore, it was a reality check. Despite Larry having immersed himself in the sport of arm wrestling for quite some time by then and being trained by some of the best in the game, he was still no match for what is essentially a mid-tier professional arm wrestler. When Schoolboy faced Devon Larratt, a top-tier arm wrestler at a local bardo, he learned firsthand the numbers of levels there are to this sport. Just to illustrate this more, in 2020, Devon Larratt stepped up to an arm wrestling table that was strategically placed in front of the entrance to a huge fitness and strength expo. With the cameras rolling, Devon took any challenger. Men of all sizes, most of them actually visiting the fitness expo. Even though these were some of the strongest people around, none of them had even a slight chance to do anything with Devon Larratt. Larratt undoubtedly arm wrestled for hours on end that day, and never once showed any real issues in dealing with his numerous extremely strong opponents. They came in with swagger, maybe they've just benched 3 plates, maybe they've seen a few YouTube tutorials, and for the first second, it feels even. But then Devon starts talking. He smiles, lets you feel strong for a moment, and then slowly, almost politely crushes you into the path. It's psychological warfare mixed with elite biomechanics. Devon doesn't just beat people, he breaks their sense of what strong even means. Which was illustrated even more in an exhibition match between the enormous Mountain, aka Hafthor Bjornsson, and Devon Larratt. At some point, the excuses start running out. You've seen Schoolboy fold random people on the street. You've seen trained strength athletes realize that raw power doesn't translate to the table. So maybe your next thought is this. Sure, but those guys are young, active competitors. What happens when the once professional arm wrestler isn't? In several recent videos, Alan Fisher, longtime arm wrestler, now retired from elite competition, stands behind the table and lets people step up, one by one. Some of the challengers don't look unprepared either. Some of them train regularly, and some are clearly stronger in some gym lifts than Alan. A few even approach the table with visible confidence, expecting that age alone will level the playing field. It doesn't. The matches rarely last more than a few seconds. The pattern repeats itself almost every time. A hard initial hit, a brief moment where the challenger thinks they're holding their ground, and then a sudden loss of structure. The wrist gives way, the arm opens, and the match is over before any real adjustments can be made. What's striking isn't only the speed, it's how little effort Alan appears to use. Because of his advanced age, Alan has become somewhat of a hot commodity for young fitness influencers to feature in their videos. And that's the uncomfortable truth these videos actually reveal. Arm wrestling skill doesn't disappear when competition stops. The understanding of leverage, pressure, and positioning stays. Even years after stepping away from tournaments, a trained arm wrestler is still operating on a level most people will never reach. Therefore, Alan Fisher isn't proving that he's still elite, even though he might be. He's proving how wide the gap really is. And this is where arm wrestling breaks people's intuition, which is the point of this video. Because this sport isn't just about strength. It's about angles, leverage, tendon conditioning, and the ability to apply force where your opponent can't respond. In most sports, being stronger helps. In arm wrestling though, being slightly out of position makes your strength all but irrelevant. That's why a retired arm wrestler can still dominate gym monsters. And that's why national champions can look helpless against the true legends of the sport. It's why the gap ultimately doesn't shrink, but keeps widening. But what about the people who actually train for this sport? What happens when arm wrestlers with years and in some cases decades of experience try to take down the greatest of all time? John Brzenk once faced over 100 challengers in a single day, even in a couple of hours. That's right, over 100 trained arm wrestlers, some even national level, at the top of their game, lined up to take their shot at the man many call the greatest of all time. Even though there was a serious prize purse on the line, John beat every single one in quick succession. By the end, his arm was swollen and raw, but the score was still over 100-0. That's not strength, that's dominance, built over decades, and a feat that seems almost unthinkable to this day. Even amongst the elites, there are levels to this. Watch Devon Larratt go up against Travis Brzenk or John Brzenk face the same man years earlier, and you'll see two different kinds of brilliance. A man like Travis has the explosiveness, the speed, the flash, but Devon and John, they have the patience, the slow grinding, unshakable control that wins arm wrestling wars. These aren't mismatches anymore, these are chess games played with bones and ligaments. The kind of matches where an inch of movement can decide the outcome, and they're still just as mesmerizing to watch as ever. Then in the modern age, there's also Levan Saginashvili, the man who looks like a final boss created in a lab. When influencers and strongman line up to face him, it doesn't even look real. Like when infamous before-mentioned strongman Larry Wheels faced Levan during practice, but was aided by a seemingly ever-increasing number of resistance bands. Even still, the professional lifter couldn't budge the Georgian Hulk. Even when some of the strongest, most experienced pullers stand across from Levan, he tears through them with ease, proving that even at the highest echelon of the sport, there are still levels to this. Their arm strength apparently vanishes in seconds, not because they're weak, but because Levan is without a doubt the strongest arm wrestler to ever exist. It stops being funny, it stops being human, and it becomes the perfect reminder that no matter how strong you think you are, there's always someone out there who can make you feel like a beginner again. So, the next time you're at a gym and someone says, "I bet I could hang with those arm wrestling guys," show them this video. Because in the world of arm wrestling, there's ego and confidence, and then there's reality, where the levels in the sport are numerous. As always, thank you to all the armians and fingerfolk, and until next time, Arm Historian out.